I do get a little bit tired of hearing about work-life balances, because quite often when people talk about a work-life balance, what they mean is reduction in work. And it's never something I've subscribed to. I think it's important to carve out a career that you love. And if you are able to do that, why would you want to reduce the amount of work that you do? So you're preaching to the choir here in terms of the importance of hard work, sweating the detail, being resilient, being committed. And I would recommend that to anyone. And I think you're living, breathing epitome of the fact that that can lead to some pretty exceptional results.
Oh, it's like we live in this world that's designed for comfort, right? We do things like we pay someone to deliver our food on a bicycle, and I do that too. Every lunchtime, someone comes and delivers my lunch to me because I don't want to have the discomfort of having to leave my desk, potentially run a meeting short, and go walk across the road to get my salad. Like, we live in a world that avoids discomfort at every single turn. But I was interviewing Ash Dykes yesterday for the podcast, which is, I can't wait to release. Like, it's such a good episode. But he's a 3-time record holder. Like, the guy's only died like 3 times, right?
I've met Ash. He was on my last podcast. He's awesome, isn't he?
Yeah. He's just like, and this, like I'm saying, like the experiences this guy has had are like not just mentally sort of mind blowing, but like the physical shit that he voluntarily puts himself through is insane. And we were talking about this whole idea of like resilience and this kind of stuff and how people are quite soft these days. And I said to him, quite like jokingly, but actually on reflection, I think I'm onto something with this. I said, we need to bring back bullying. We need to bring back that like acceptance of, people are going to pick on you and it is kind of a tough life. And actually, obviously I don't mean actually literally bullying, but I mean like that resilience of like, stuff happens and it's tough and whatever. And actually you're not you're not chipped away at in the moments where it feels comfortable. You think about ourselves as a piece of rock. The things that make us shape that rock into something beautiful is when you're chipping away at it, right? And it's the stress that chips away at that. It's the hard times that you have to get through. It's the I have no money on my bank account. I have a mortgage due in 2 weeks. It's the how am I going to do? Like it's those really hard. I'm in a corner and I have no other option here than to fight my way out. That makes you as a human being. And I think as a society, particularly in the West, we sort of discourage people from putting themselves in that position because like, oh no, you might get hurt. But actually it's those I might get hurt moments that really is the making of you. So when we talk about, work-life balance and stuff, do you want work-life balance or do you want a fucking exceptional life? Because I don't think you can have both, not least certainly at the beginning of your career or your business.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you should say that. I agree with you. It was Stress Awareness Day a couple of weeks ago, and I actually posted on LinkedIn on about this. I do think we should be aware of stress, but being aware of it doesn't mean avoiding it. On the contrary, as you've just said, exposing ourselves to suffering and challenge, it does make us stronger. I mean, stress is like a bicep. And if you want to get a bigger, stronger bicep, you don't do that by keeping the weights low or avoiding the gym altogether. It's only by exposing yourself to being outside of your comfort zone. That's where true growth lies. And I think that's a message which is perhaps neglected. And it's particularly good, if I may say, to have someone like yourself who is so sophisticated in terms of your understanding and your implementation of social media strategy, because there's a lot of the sort of opposite end of the coin that I read on social media, which is about self-care and self-love and self-well-being and that sort of thing. And I'm not knocking any of that, but most people that I encounter who have delivered sustained success, they've got the bruises, they've been through the tough times, they've walked the hard yards. And I think the more people we can get talking about the benefits of that, the better.
It's interesting you use before we move on, it's interesting that you use the bicep analogy, because I use the gym analogy a lot. I love analogies because it helps people understand complex ideas, right? Because it makes it simple. But you think about a muscle, right? If you wanted to get bigger, if you wanted to get more lean even, you need to tear your muscle apart in order to rebuild it, to grow it, right? And that's where you get that pain from after you've done a good workout. That's that nice, like, oh, I feel sore today, because you've actually ripped all the fibers in your muscles, right? And that's what your life is like. It's the stress is ripping the fibers of your being, of your brain, of your chemical makeup to then rebuild it stronger so you can get bigger, so you can get tougher, so you can achieve those things that you want to achieve. And particularly for my age group, like I'm 32, I think people really think that I should be standing here going, take care of yourself, guys. Make sure that you're, putting your face mask on at night and, don't whatever. Meanwhile, those same people that are preaching those types of things are probably scrolling through TikTok between 1 and 2 p.m. every single night. Is that self-care? I don't think so.
No.
My self-care is I'm taking care of my family. I'm taking care of my future. I'm building something that's going to be my legacy. But, self-care and well-being isn't about being kind to your diary. It's about what is going to make me the best version of myself. And actually, it's scientifically proven that stress makes you better as a little bit, not too much, but a little bit of stress makes you better in terms of your output, your resilience, your mental well-being, your actual mental health. And there's also been very, very big studies done on the impact that stress has, particularly on men. Like, men need stress in order to thrive, period. Like, that's like a proven medical study that's been done. Men particularly need to be in highly stressful environments in order to survive and thrive. And I guess that comes from biology of this hunter-nurturer thing. Women biologically, we're much more emotionally intelligent typically. So we're kind of the nurturer, and then the male figure is the hunter-gatherer. So they put themselves in stressful situations, which then is the making of them, because, if they fought off a bear one day, it's going to be stronger the next time they face the next bear, that type of thing. So stress is good for you. I don't like this narrative that stress is not a good thing.
No, and there's an evolutionary underpinning to that. You talk there about building your best self, letting people get to their full potential. Is that what a personal brand is? Is it your best self?
I love that you brought this up, Simon, because personal branding is something I'm very passionate about. And I think that comes across, at least hopefully on this podcast, but also in the content that I produce, right? But personal branding itself is not my purpose. My purpose is to enable people to take accountability of their own lives, stop waiting for a handout to be saved, and to save the damn selves, right? That is what personal branding does. Personal branding allows you to create a platform with your own hands. You get your own bricks to build your own platform, to stand up and say, hey, opportunities come to me. That is what personal branding is all about. And the byproduct of that is becoming your best self. I am the most confident, happiest, financially free, all insert every single goal that I possibly could have had when I was 21 right now, because I built my personal brand. And none of that would have been possible. I would never have had this opportunity to do things like this. I would never have the opportunity to be, I was on ITV News the other day talking about branding. None of these things would have happened. And you might be listening to that going, oh, why would you want to be on the news? Because of the opportunities it's going to give me, because of the money it's going to make my business, because of the exposure that gives me and the impact that I can have on individual people to say, hey, if I can do it, and I'm a single mom of 2, I'm divorced, you can do it too. So that is to me what personal branding is. It's it's the opportunities that delivered into your lap.
Yes, and it's interesting you use that phrase about why would you do something, because it seems to me that in all sorts of marketing and branding, there has to be a why. So let's just cover on that. Why does everyone need a personal brand, or do they already have one? And if they need one, why do they?
I think everyone does have a personal brand, for sure. Like, you have a personal brand with your family. I have a personal brand with my kids, with my team. I have a personal brand with the receptionist. I have, shout out Leslie, you're amazing. I have a personal brand with, the barista that makes my coffee every day. I also have a personal brand with 140,000 people that follow me on LinkedIn. I have a personal brand with 500,000 people that have liked my content on TikTok, or 1 million people that have liked my TikTok content. The people that view my YouTube. Every person I have an interaction with, I have a personal brand with, right? And I think the whole point of personal branding as a concept is about shaping and strategizing of what you want that personal brand to be. What do you want people to think of you when you're not in the room? What conversations do you want your name to be a part of when you're not there? What impression do you want people to have of you when you're not in earshot? Even little things, I will make a point of, when I'm having dinner with someone or whatever, to ask the waiter what their name is. So when they bring things over to me, I can say, thank you, Steve, or thank you, Alex, or thank you, whatever, because I know that by doing that little tiny thing, that's going to make them feel great and heard and seen and confident and all those things. And that is part of my personal brand. I want to instill that in other people. And so I take that not just online to be like, hey guys, be confident. I'm like, no, I'm going to take that into my life too, because that is what I believe to be my personal brand, my North Star, what I want to be known for. So yes, you have a personal brand already, but what it looks like is up to you. And if you don't intentionally shape it, I think the personal brand that you actually end up with is going to be one that you don't like.
Yeah, I suppose the question people might have then, I agree with you when you say that we all have a personal brand to some extent. So if we've all got one already, why worry about building it? Why not just let it mature organically?
Because you can only reach a certain number of people if you don't do anything with it. I can reach millions of people with a single press of a button. And that gives me a million opportunities that you don't get because you haven't made an effort to kind of bring it out of just your close circle. The thing is about life is we only really consider about 50 to 150 people in our life. Like quite literally, you think about the people that are in your conscious decision making. It might be your husband, your wife, your kid, your colleague, the news reader on the TV. There's about 50 to 150 people that typically people consider, which means that when you're making decisions and you're having interactions with people, these are the only people that you give a shit about, which means that you're limiting how many people can impact your life. When you think about things in a much bigger scope of, okay, it's not 50 to 150 people care about, I care about everyone, and I care about everyone that could potentially give me an opportunity and potentially I could give an opportunity too, you then start scaling your personal brand. It's no longer about just those 50 to 150 people that can help shape your life. It's about millions of people that can help shape your life. And it's not necessarily about getting the better opportunities, which they do come. They're a lot better when you scale up, but it's about making it so much more niche, you becoming the person, not a person amongst many, and positioning yourself as an absolute authority and being probably, as I am, almost the most preferred person in an industry or the most preferred person in whatever. Because that is the power of personal branding. It's not necessarily that you put a piece of content out and, 100,000 people saw it. Excellent. What am I going to do with 100,000 views? But it's 100,000 people that viewed that content that are now talking about my name in a room that I didn't have access to. And that is why you should build your personal brand, not for the vanity metric, but for what it can deliver to you. But to your original question, should everyone build one? No, if you don't want to build one, I'm not going to convince you, but just know that there are other people in your industry who are doing it and they're going to be one that's getting opportunities like you.